Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater, coming to you from New York City. We are at Quad Recording, special guest. We're with JSWISS. It's great to see you.
Oh man, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for sitting down with us. It's man, I've been checking out your stuff, and you're doing some fantastic things.
I
want
appreciate
to definitely dive into all that's been happening with your career, because you started pretty young, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I did not grow up, people, even myself, expecting I was going to be an artist.
Yeah.
So it seemed somewhat late to me, but I guess I started writing, as a hobby around 12, 13. And then it was real gradual. Even at that point, nobody was thinking I was going to be, a career MC. My parents were surprised to hear I was even doing any performing. So yeah, it was a gradual process.
Right.
Yeah.
So were you performing and doing things? Your first mixtape came out in 2009. And
2009,
you were a freshman in college.
Freshman in
right?
college, yeah. UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah. Were you already out doing things before that, playing live and doing things?
Not much. Right before I put out my first mixtape, I had done an open mic at home in Dobbs Ferry, New York, just several months before. And so me finding the studio and recording a whole project was just, I like the open mic.
Yeah.
I want to do more of that for fun. And not thinking I was going to find a whole studio on campus in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the drive. I mean, the way that I do things, if I find something that I enjoy, I just dive in. So It went from I'm not going to record any projects to, oh, there's a studio, let me start recording some, to I put out 2 or 3 projects my first year in college. So I just dove in, and then I was just completely in it. And so I went to college not knowing music was going to be a career at all. And then I left college thinking that's what it has to be. That's all I could think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That had to be a door opening for the college to have the studio and for you to have access.
It was
to
amazing. I was in the right place. I mean, I say if I didn't go to college where I did, I might not be doing music like I am, because it was just that opportunity for it to be there. It was like, hey, that thing that you like as a hobby, you could just live in the studio. This is here, it's free. You could spend every hour in between and after class, which I did, in the studio.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you really want it, you could have it. And I just grabbed onto it full force.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. One of the interesting things I've seen you talk about is you consider yourself pretty specifically an MC, not a rapper.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What's the distinction in your mind?
Yeah.
And why do you lean the one direction?
For me, it's a real conscious choice to think about the words that you use.
Mm-hmm.
So flow and everything is always important. The flow and the music is always important. But I think MC, storyteller, is another word I would put with it. And so for me, it's the words are always a part of it. It's never just oh, okay, the song was cool, I don't know what the hell he was saying. What he was saying was inconsequential to the whole song. It was the words, whether it's funny, it's clever, it's deep, it's relatable, whatever, the words are a part of the appeal of it. Mm-hmm. And I don't take that lightly at all. It's funny, I went to college for journalism, not for music. And so it's always been words have just always been extremely important. That's been my superpower. Mm-hmm. And so, I love that. I embrace that, because I think it's something that people really appreciate and need and value in life. So to have a command over words, it is something great. Yeah. Yeah.
So given that background as a writer, as a journalist, and moving into doing projects and things, do you go into each song or each project with a specific concept in mind and write toward that? Or is it more spur of the moment?
Man, it's different. It's different every time. I've had situations where I might have a chorus that is just inspired by something in life. Mm-hmm. So I know I need to write a song about that. And I'll write down a chorus to no beat. And then it might take me a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 2 weeks for the song, the music to spur it.
Right.
And then sometimes I had situations where I follow the beat and I hear a flow, I hear a melody. And then it's just put words to that melody. And the words might not make sense, or it might make sense into something that creates an idea.
Right.
And now it's I got to make a whole song about that idea. Maybe I never knew I was going to make a song about a grilled cheese sandwich, But the melody I'm hearing is I need my grilled cheese. And so I got to figure out, just kind of going with the grain, if the music is making you feel a certain way, go with it. Right. And then, spur off of that.
Right.
So yeah, it's always different. I've rarely ever written a whole song without some type of beat there already. Mm-hmm. But I definitely had song concepts, and I keep a notepad, digital notepad, in my phone of just dozens, maybe hundreds of song ideas, and when the beat comes, it might call for it to pull it out. Yeah.
Do you so you have a beat, it's inspired you?
Yeah.
Are you looking through your list, or are you going back and saying, man, I had an idea, I just got to find that idea?
I do often. I'll go through the list, like especially if I hear something and something doesn't come right away, but I know I like the instrumental. It's like, let me see if I could find inspiration from JSWISS, 6 months ago or maybe 3 years ago, in a note that I wrote down. And sometimes, that works, and like some of the best songs, might come from that.
Right.
Yeah. So I gave myself, past me gave myself an idea that helps future me. So
yeah. Yeah. So you've been doing quite a few collaborations lately that I want to talk about. But my question for now is, what is the difference between doing a JSWISS project and doing a collaboration with another artist?
It's funny because for a good amount of my career, it was always like, I would obviously work with other producers and everything. It was always like my project. And also, like, I come up in an era where you could do everything digitally. Like, people could send you stuff. You don't really have to have that type of chemistry with the people that you work with to work with them.
Right.
But, I love, and diving into a couple of collaborative projects recently, I love, if by being constricted with working with, like, one person, it's maybe could seem constricting, but it's actually really freeing. In that it forces you to consider everything. Like, look, I'm in this boat with this person. As we're going back and forth with music, there might be something I don't like immediately.
Right.
There might be something, that I like, but I'm not sure about it. But it's like, try everything. It's like, we're in this boat together. Let me try everything. And then you really build. You're both equally invested in it. And I think there's like a magic when you really like and care about the person. You understand where you both are in your lives, mentally, emotionally, what you love, what you're inspired by. When you like have those conversations with somebody, because you have time. It's like, look, we're working together for a year, so we don't need to talk just to get this song done. Like,
right.
We could get a song done today, maybe we don't get a song done today. It doesn't matter, but we're knowing each other. And like the way that the projects have come out, the fun that I've had in those projects, how much I appreciate them when they're done before anybody hears it at all. It's just like being appreciative for that process. Like, it's collaborating with incredibly talented people, so it's like, shoot, I got, a year of this person who I know hundreds, thousands of people would love to work with, and we've been able to work on a journey tightly. That's something you appreciate. It's some of my best, most appreciated work that I'm gonna like love for life. Because artists get in our head and we're like, you love something one year and then the next year it's like, that was. But these are, the collaboration process has made it things that I'm gonna like, cherish for life.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of that is being able to, you mentioned it freeing you, and part of that is being able to release from just being in your perspective.
Yeah.
Because anybody you work with is going to have a different background, different musical background, different life background, and their perspective is going to be very different. So when you release,
exactly.
Let them have a different way in.
Release is a good word, because definitely as we're going, I think like both me and producers, so like the album with Michael, there are points where, he's got to just send me what he has and just release and fall back, and I'll record my part, and just to trust that, okay, I know something might be missing, but look, I'm just going to record my part and then let Michael or whoever the producer is completely do their thing. And often what would happen is I didn't know what it needed, and then I get something back and it's like, oh man, that's what it needed and more. Right. And it's a trust of being able to let go. Like, being able to let go.
That's the key, right?
Is something, me and probably a lot of artists, lessons need to tell ourselves over and over again. Let go.
Let go, right.
Yeah.
You mentioned Michael. That was Michael Leonhart.
Yes.
And you guys have done an EP, Alchemy.
Yeah.
And I think it was just yesterday, right? You released Bonafide, or the day before?
Well, early this year.
Okay.
Early this year, Bonafide.
Fantastic recordings. Talk a little bit about the process of working with Michael, because he's done so many different things in different genres and different approaches. How did you work with him?
Yeah, so it was really cool because, we kind of got connected as complete strangers, started working together, always in the same room doing live things with him and his orchestra. And then as soon as we started working together on our duo things, pandemic hit. So then we were separate, but also as together as possible, because like we're all locked in. So we're not doing all the different live things. Our like demands aren't all over the place. So we could just be committed to this one thing together. So it was perfect that we had a good 5-6 months of doing stuff with his orchestra. They had a monthly residency at Jazz Standard. And so we really got to build that camaraderie, being in the same room together and seeing like how each of us gets where we're both coming from. So that when we were split, you know, there was still that chemistry, that foundation, you know, was laid. And then, you know, those, you're talking like March to, you know, August, September 2020, I probably didn't talk to anybody on the phone, you know, as much as Michael, you know, because we're talking about the album and we're also talking about what's going on with life, you know, and everything. So, yeah, it was like that, being able to collaborate that deeply in a time, too, where you were locked in to being in one place and focusing on one thing, I think like it really shows, you know, it shows in the chemistry of how special that project is.
Yeah, absolutely. Another recent collaboration is with Sly Fifth Ave.
Sly Fifth Ave,
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, that's another pandemic project, you know. Yeah. So I was definitely busy, home recording. You know, shout out to being able to do that, you know, these days. And Sly, like Michael, is another person who does a lot with orchestras. Very eclectic background, but also gets it. Like just trained in, you know, multiple different types of music in his instrument, and then also just loves hip hop. Just loves a dope beat. You know, a dope groove. And so, again, working remotely, but somebody that I met, you know, on the scene in New York City, and another person that's a friend. So, you know, we talked on the phone. It wasn't just emails, you know, back and forth. And, you know, what I love about, it's funny, both Bonafide and Somebody's Got to Do It, so the project with Michael and the project with Sly, they definitely sound different, which is cool. And I think they pull out different things, you know, from me at the same time. You know, like Michael's project is like super dynamic, like you won't hear most hip hop, you know, songs where it's got a dope groove, but then you could have different sections where things are changing, you know, at the same time. But, you know, Michael is very, very committed, as I know he'll say, you know, like it's got to have that knock, which is what I appreciate, because when him being the orchestra guy, when I first meeting him, you know, it's like, okay, is he going to be able to get hip hop, you know, like that? Because there's a lot of things that are out there where it's you know, we're going to do something different and innovative. We're going to take jazz and orchestra and mix it with hip hop. And it's just going to be, you like it just because it's something different, you know? Right. But it's like, no, it's got to be dope. It's hip hop. It's got to be knocking. It's got to have a groove. It's got to have a pocket. As an MC, I have to do my thing. I don't want it to just be the novelty of, okay, you got to like what he's doing just because he's an MC with the orchestra and that's this super academic, cool thing. Like, I want to be on the top of my game. So, you know, you get that with Michael, with Sly. Just like, some of the stuff is knocking, but some of it is a little bit more subtle in the grooves that are happening and the melodies. And I think with that, you get me doing a little bit different types of things with my voice and choruses, a little bit more playful. So it's like all different sides, but what I love about it is I think like there's really great storytelling you get from me. Right. Like, yeah, that's what I love, that they really pulled out of me to like try different things, explore, kind of forcing myself to do different things, like with Bonafide, with Michael saying, I'm gonna make several songs about this book, Manuscript Found in the Cry by Paulo Coelho, and work within that framework. And by working within that framework, seeing what could be pulled out of me by, again, kind of restricting myself to something. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's definitely two different views on what you do, and both so very cool. So one of the things I have to ask you about is, tell us about Authentic. Yeah. Authentic, so that is, Authenticity was the name of an album I put out right after I graduated college. So literally, like, graduated 2 days later, album out. And that was like my whole senior year project. And at the time, I thought it was just going to be the name of that album, AWTHENTIC, Authentic, Authenticity. Yep. And then it just really speaks to me two things. One, what I think people appreciate from me is that I've always just been comfortable being myself. You know, being whether it was being a young kid and, you know, peer pressure not getting to me at all, being the different things that I am. You know, there's some ways where as a hip-hop artist, as a young black man, I might fall into the stereotype of what you think. Like, I love basketball, I love hip-hop, you know? And in other ways, you know, I'm not what you might expect from a person like me. And also leaning into those things as well, and not being scared of it at all. So for me, that's been like a superpower, and things that have people have appreciated about me and drawn people to me. And it's also something I think everyone is seeking, to be authentic, especially in this social media age. You're always comparing yourself to other people. But it's like, man, I really want to be comfortable being who I am.
Right.
And so it's like, if this is something that I have, you know, naturally, and this is something that people are seeking, I think this is something that's a little bit more important than just like the title of one album. So it's just been my theme, you know, throughout my career since for the past decade. It's been something that I like to think of my music as authentic, you know, hip hop. There's the real hip hop and the boom bap and all this, but I think like that's the best way to explain it, is authentic hip hop. Wherever I am, wherever my soul is moved to be, that's how it's going to sound. That's what you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you've got the website.
Yes.
Associated with that, and music plus movement plus brand.
Yes,
and,
exactly, exactly.
Authentic is a combination of AWE, awe.
Yeah. The short way is leave people in awe of how true to yourself you are.
I love
That's
it.
Boom.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's next?
What's next? There's already a whole bunch of music that's been recorded.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of mini collaborations. I've, you know, no necessarily collaborative project fully. Definitely more stuff with Michael. Definitely more stuff with Sly. I won't even get into some of the other people that I've worked with, but there's been little sweets, so to say, you know, do 3-4 songs here, lock in with one artist, 3-4 songs here, lock in with another artist. And I would say I've been really privileged to connect and build deeply with some of my favorite musicians who are extremely talented on their instrument of choice, but then also just amazing as composers, as producers, and really just tapping into something that, like, that feeling that you get, you know, at your core. So it's not just about being a virtuoso, whatever. It's about how do I make something that's relatable, you know, connects with people, makes you want to move, makes the MC want to spit.
Right.
You know, and so I'm really excited about some of the people I'm working with on that end.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely look forward to all the new things that are coming, and congratulations on your success so far. It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure
Thank you so
too.
much. Appreciate you taking time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here at Quad Recording in New York City. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.